Yo, what's happening, peoples? Brett here from Bad Intentions Boxing. I hope you're all keeping well and safe. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe down below. Let's go.
I'm a shooter, I'm a shooter. Cut blocks on round with the Ruger. Headshot and you bust your medulla. Everybody in the trunk like a booster. You a mascot, you a loser.
Hi, good evening. I'm here with former WBO world champion Joseph Parker. It's absolutely fantastic and a privilege to have you with us. Thank you very much for attending. How are you?
I am very good. Thanks for having me on. And good morning from New Zealand.
I'd say good evening. I'm in Yorkshire at the moment, so it's a wet and windy Yorkshire. I'm not actually from there, but yeah, definitely it's cold up here this evening. So let's get into it. How have you found since the COVID-19 pandemic has kicked in? How has that affected your training?
I don't think it's affected my training that much. I think the only thing that's affected is obviously the fights that we're looking at planning to have, and now that the sort of, I'm stuck in New Zealand, so we had to lock in a fight with a guy named Junior Farr, who's also ranked in the WBO, but it's sort of restricted from traveling and going around the world and fighting and the bigger fights that we wanted to be a part of this year.
So would you say that's affected your ability to be able to possibly branch out and target people that are higher up in those rankings?
Oh, most definitely. And my goal was to, for this year was to fight 3 times if I could, maybe even 4, to keep busy. But, with everything that's happening or that's happened, it's affected my plans and everyone else's plans. So I think the only thing we can do now is just to adapt and, make what we can do happen.
Is that potentially, I think, has that pushed back the fight date now to, is it the end of February, beginning of March?
We're looking at the end of February, beginning of March, because he had a health issue. So hopefully he recovers well and gets better so he can train. And so we can both be fighting fit end of February, beginning of March.
And how are you feeling going into that fight with training?
Oh, training is good. I back myself against anyone that I fight. So as long as I train hard, prepare well, when fight night comes, I know I can give it everything I can, and I always back myself to win.
So potentially, you come through this fight unscathed. Already, what is a blue ribbon collar heavyweight division? Where do you see your future planning out after this?
After the next fight, hopefully, everything goes well and as planned. I'd love to be mixing it with the guys again in the top 5. I want to mix up guys in the UK, guys in the US, whoever's they put in front of me that gets me closer to a world title again or unified champion of the world. I'll take any of those fights.
And that leads on to my next question. Was there any discussion or was there any thought process in potentially trying to rearrange with between David and Eddie that rematch with Dylan White?
Oh, we've been vocal about it just because we know it was a good fight. It was entertaining and it was back and forth. Obviously, he got the victory on that night, but I think we should run it back. I think we should do it again.
Was there anything you felt that you learned from that fight that possibly you hadn't learned from previous fights? As it was, we all saw you'd never been dropped before. You actually got dropped twice. I think there was a conversation, a discussion that was had about one of them. Was it an elbow? Was it a fist?
Yeah, one of them was a headbutt, which I've studied the fight and seen it. The first one was a headbutt, and the second one he caught me with a nice punch. What I learned from that fight was that when times do get hard, I can fight back and I can stand strong. But then also I need to show a bit more. I need to show a lot more aggression with future fights that I have.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic to hear that you're so resounded, essentially after something that's never happened to you, and to come back displaying the behaviour that you are now. That's brilliant to see. So I suppose, looking from last Saturday, Anthony Joshua versus Krubak Pulev, was there anything you thought from watching that last fight take place that there's potentially anything you learned or that you saw from Joshua that you hadn't previously seen?
With the Joshua fight, he did what he had to do to get Pulev out of there. He took his time and he picked the shots and he boxed. And I guess with every fight, he's changing his style here and there. And with every fight, I know every fighter has weaknesses and every fighter shows things that they do wrong. So we also have things to work on. And I guess from that fight, I could see that if I got into the ring with him again, there's a few things that I could try that maybe can work.
No, that's really pleasing to hear. So the potential of an Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight, How do you see that fight going?
Oh, two great champions, going at it. Both from the UK. And then I've been pretty firm with my my opinion is that I think Fury will win. But you just heavyweight boxing, you never know. One punch can change anything.
Yeah, and that's very open and honest to hear you say that. And I definitely think that essentially with two giants and two Goliaths that you have going at each other, I think there's a potential in that fight for anything to happen there.
Oh yeah, anything can happen. But the thing is, they should make that fight happen. It's a very exciting fight. We need to see one champion. We haven't had one champion for a long time, so it'll be great to see who that one champion is going to be very soon. But there's a lot of things that come into play. There's the belt that might be vacated. There's everything's changing, and things do pop up now and then. So hopefully we can see it soon.
And how do you see that panning out with the WBO? If there's the potential that Anthony Joshua does have to vacate that belt, are you and your team, are you lobbying to be able to fight for that contender position with Alexander Usyk?
Oh, most definitely. We'll be lobbying to get the opportunity to fight Usyk for that belt. And I'm sure there are many other fighters doing the same thing. They're trying to lobby to try to get him to the position of fighting for the world title if it gets vacated. But maybe the WBO might think, we'll just leave it with them and we'll make it a bigger fight.
Do you have any update where you guys are with lobbying with the WBO potentially?
No real update. Just our team are working behind the scenes to hope keep our ranking. And in order to keep ranking, you have to keep busy, you have to keep fighting. And we've been trying to fight Junior Far. The fight got pushed back. So, but our team's working behind the scenes to make sure that they're finding the right pathway to get me back to the top or get me back to being world champion.
And would there be any potential coming up, I suppose, with looking forward to the future again, of a potential fight with Joyce?
I would love to. I mean, Joyce right now is in front of me in the WBO. So I would love the opportunity to fight him. He did a great job against his last opponent. It was a good display, good jab, good boxing. But if they put me in the ring with him, like I said before, I back myself against any fighter.
That's absolutely fantastic to hear. So on the end note, what we've got something that's a bit of fun, and it's called On the Bell. It's going to be 3 quick fire questions, and all I need you to give me is the first answer that comes into your head, buddy. So the first one is bacon or sausage?
Sausage.
Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren?
Eddie Hearn. See,
Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua?
Tyson Fury.
I'm a shooter, I'ma shoot ya. Cut blocks around with the Ruger. Headshot and you bust your medulla. Everybody in the trunk like a booster. You a mascot, you a